Hello everybody, good morning. It's Krista Ritzkis with Simply Creating with Close to My Heart, and I am starting a brand new weekly video series that I'm super excited about. We're going to be doing Technique Tuesdays, and so every Tuesday I'm going to come on live here to show you a little bit of a technique, some tips. Well, the possibilities are endless. I have lots of ideas for things to show you. These videos hopefully won't be too long. And after I'm done recording them live here on Facebook, I will be uploading them to my newly resurrected YouTube channel. And so I'm hoping that I can help you use up your crafting supplies and get a chance to learn a few things as I learn some things as well along the way. What I'm going to talk about today is just some stamping basics, and I'm using some stamps that are from our brand new Seasons in Motion promotion that just started, and it is super fun. So if you saw our Creativity in Motion collection that we had a little while ago, these will look a little bit familiar, but now they're seasons. So we have fall, we have Christmas, some super cute stuff. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining that because that will be for another video, but I want to show you, just talk about some stamping basics. So if you're new to Close to My Heart, this is how our stamp sets come. They come in a plastic envelope, the 6x6 size. And inside there are carrier sheets and foam, pieces of foam that are sized according to whatever price you've paid for your stamp set. So they come in different sizes. So this sheet inside is different shapes or different sizes, and bigger stamp sets will fill the whole envelope, smaller ones only a little bit. So you pull out the carrier sheet. This little piece of foam is actually super useful, and I'm going to show you how to use that. I'm going to set that aside. This is the stamp set that I'm going to use. I'm going to put this one aside as well. And so we're going to use that in a moment. But what I want to show you is that these stamp sets are acrylic. They're clear, and so it makes it really easy to stamp with them. And now what I'm going to do is grab a block. So we sell these clear blocks. I'm going to put this on here. And you can either lay your stamp, I'm going to show you another technique to put your stamp on. Alright, so I'm going to set that aside for a minute. We also have a bunch of different types of inks. So we have a regular water-based ink, which comes in lots of colors, our whole palette. We have an archival black ink and an intense black. So the idea is that if you want archival safe, well, these are archival safe as well. If you want a really deep intense black, that is, again, archival safe, you're going to use the archival black. If you're going to add any wet medium, alcohol markers, coloring, watercoloring, any inking, or anything that might cause a water-based ink to run, you're going to use intense black. Okay, so we're going to push those aside for a moment because I'm not going to use black today. And you're going to want a stamp chamois. Mine's very well loved. It's got lots of ink stains on it. As long as you're washing it out regularly and not with soap, just with water, rinsing it out really well, none of this stuff is going to transfer. It's just stained. So it's well loved. So I'm also going to pull my sleeve up. And here is a really great tip to get a nice crisp image the first time. So when you have a new stamp like this one is, I haven't even stamped with this once. It has a manufacturer film on it. It's very, very clear. And what you want is to create kind of a cloudy part to it. So you're going to rub it on the inside of your arm or on your hand. I use the inside of my arm. Especially with solid stamps like this, you want to make sure that you get that all off. And if you can see that, it might be hard to see in the video. It's not as clear, and that's what we want. Alright, now with Creativity in Motion, I'm actually, because this has a nice solid part to it, and I can see I have, maybe do this a bit more. One of the things you can use is your Versamat. You can flip it over. On the back side, it's nice and spongy. Mine has a bunch of nicks and dings in it, so I don't get as smooth a stamped image. But if you keep yours nice and straight, it's perfect for stamping on. When I have a big solid stamp like this, I'm going to use this foam. I'm going to put it right underneath and my paper on top. That will help me get a nice crisp image. I'm going to use espresso ink, And when you're inking up your stamp, you don't want to go just and be done. You can see that is not well inked, okay? Especially when you have a solid image like this, you want to get it right in the ink pad. You want to give it some pressure. You want to make some noise. Don't be afraid to be noisy when you're inking up your stamps. Now when we look, we have a nice full covered image, and I can actually see it through the block as well. Now with Creativity in Motion, and I don't know if you can see that on the camera, I have a couple of pencil lines here, and that's only because I need to line up the image really well. And I'm hoping my head won't show in here, but I gotta come down so I can see it. Want to make sure that my image is nice and straight up and down, otherwise it's not going to work real well. When you're doing normal stamping, obviously you wouldn't have to be that extra careful. So what I'm doing is I'm just working my finger around, especially on the solid part, just working it around and leaving the block on the paper to let the ink really soak in. That's what you want to do. You don't want to put it down and then pop it back up again really quickly. And I'm going to pull it away, and there is my image. So now normally I would have a piece of scrap paper here to get the extra ink off. That's another tip. But I'm just going to clean this. My stamp chamois been dampened with some water, and I can just clean the ink right off of it. There we go. That is how you stamp with a more solid image. Okay? Now I'm going to pull this stamp set back in here. And we're going to pull this away, and I actually don't need my foam for this. We're going to stamp the Sending Warm Hugs. One of the things that we can do, I'm actually going to move that, I'm going to use this block here. So one of the great things about these clear stamps is that you can arrange them on your block however you want. So I'm going to actually lay this down because I want to see how I need to line up my words so that I can put the Sending Warm on this side and the hugs on that side. Let's see here. Might be a bit tight, but that's okay. The stamps have a little bit of an edge around them, and it won't take up this much space. So now what I'm going to do, I've taken another size block, and I'm just going to pick it up. There. Now my images are on my block. So you can combine different images and create, even if you're going to create a background and do different patterns and things like that. Now I'm going to use, actually I'm going to use Espresso for the words, Sending Warm. And I'm just kind of tapping this one because it's not as solid. I don't have to grind it into the, but you can see again, it's nice coverage the very first time because I seasoned it on my arm. We're going to put this, stamp this right down on here. And again, I'm going careful. So one of the things you'll notice is I'm anchoring my hands on the surface of the table so that my hand is really nice and steady when I push down. And I'm leaving it on there a little longer than I normally would, but because I'm talking. So there is Sending Warm. We're just going to clean that off, and I'll worry about putting my stamps back away later. And now we're going to grab the word Hugs. Just peels right off. And again, I'm going to just put it on my paper, on my Versamat, so I can pick it up kind of straight. And we're going to rub it on my arm again. And I'm just going to close this up. And you'll notice too, all of our stamp pads are all magnetic, so they come apart really easily. And here is Sangria. This is one of my favorite reds. It's like a purpley red. And again, I'm just going all around the ink pad. I got a bit of ink on my finger. What you don't want to do is rock the block as you're inking up. You want to keep it nice and straight so that you can minimize the amount of ink you're getting on the sides of the block. But you'll see I have a little line there. Can you see that? Maybe. I'm just going to wipe it off. Now, I'm going to stamp my Hugs. Again, I'm anchoring my hands and stamping, and this one's a bit more solid, so I'm going to make sure that I'm giving it a little bit of pressure, not tons. You don't have to flatten your stamp, but just leave it on there for a little bit so that it gives the ink a little bit of time to get in. Now this one as it dries, it'll lighten up a little bit. But let me show you. I am going to be using one of these papers. I'm not sure which one. Probably not that one, but these ones. This is also paper that's available with the seasons and stuff. So we're going to see, and I'll post a picture of my completed card so you can see what I end up doing with this. All right. So just to recap, you want to use the right ink for your project, whether it be a water-based regular ink, which is what I call a regular ink. That's what it's available in all of our colors. Or you might use, if you want a really deep, crisp black, you might use Archival. Archival will stain your stamps and your chamois. That's why mine is so black. And if you're going to do any liquid medium, like alcohol inks, markers, watercolor, any of that, you're going to use Intense Black. What you want to make sure that you do is anchor your hand on your table while you push down so that you don't end up getting it off, and you can make sure it's nice and straight before you press down. You want to season new stamps on your skin so that you get a nice crisp image the first time. And if you're interested in purchasing any of the things and maybe you want to take a look at Seasons in Motion, just hop on over to my website, and that's simplycreating.ctmh.com. I will see you all for another Technique Tuesday next week. Thanks for watching.